What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Dror bringing you the 6th installment of our replay analytics series. Absolutely. In case you do not know what this is, if you haven't seen the previous 5 episodes, this is where people all around the ESOC community send me recordings. I cast them, give my feedback, give advice where I can, so on and so forth. Now, a little disclaimer before we get going today. I know that the last recording I said that I would be bringing you 2 games this time, and those would both be from the Kaiser Klein versus Diaraga series. Now, unfortunately, due to some technical issues on my end, I was not able to get those up in time. However, those will be coming out next week, so next week we will have the 2 games from the series of Kaiser Klein versus Diaraga, and depending on how you guys like those, we could do the entire series, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So I am picking from another game of my list of recordings today, and that is, I'm not quite sure how to say his name. Tedere? Tedere? I'm just going to call him Ted. Ted12 versus Masterdutch. So that is the recording we will be watching today, and this was sent in to me from Ted12. So thank you very much for sending in that recording, and without further ado, let's get rid of the time bar and let's get started. So in the left of the map we have Ted, who is playing as Germany in the blue, and playing in the right of the map as the color orange we do have Masterdutch, who is oddly enough, not playing Dutch. He is, in fact, playing Japan, putting down his consulate. Gonna go for the Portuguese consulate, very standard. But as we did last week, we're gonna focus on the player who sent in the replay, and that'll be Ted12, just to make this a little more personal and a little more analytical, because it seems like you guys enjoyed that style of casting from the last game. So we will continue to do it in that style. But we see the market coming down for the German player. Obviously, getting the 100 wood means he cannot put down the trading post, which is unfortunate, but I'm sure he will get it in transition. Looks like he's getting the 60 wood treasure. Does a pretty decent job creeping it, although he took a little more damage than I would have liked. But obviously, sometimes that can't be helped. A little bit of villager idle time. That is definitely not something you want. I mean, we're looking at like 10-15 seconds of idle time, which I don't. You still no vills queued up. Okay, finally has a vill queued up. Long time not to have any vills in production, and when you're in the first stage, that's an especially important thing, is to always have vills in your town center. But I do realize that when you're going for the early hunting dogs, that timing can get a little bit close, and you can lose a little bit of idle time. So it's not something huge. Have done a very good job getting in this first herd. That's certainly very good. Already getting in your second herd as well, so I'm loving your herding so far. And going for the native scout, so a very good treasure to go for. Obviously, the German player has only his 1 scout, compared to the Japanese 2. So having this native scout really is going to even that playing field. The Japanese player put down his cherry orchard in a pretty good spot. Put down his consulate in a pretty good spot as well. And he's just doing very standard Japan stuff, putting down shrines in the map. Looks like you're sending the 2 settler wagons, arguably one of the best first stage cards that there is. Continuing to herd. I'm loving your herding right now. You've already got 2 herds almost right under your town center, and I'm sure you'll get this 3rd herd soon. And you could even go for this 4th herd, even though it's a little bit farther out. Let's see, what have you scouted so far? Okay, so you haven't scouted the Japan's player's base yet, although you can probably guess what the Japan player is going to be doing. Probably, putting shrines down, using that Portuguese consulate. There's not really a whole lot that varies in the Japanese first stage, so but you will want to scout that soon. Especially as we get into the second age, you're going to want to see what military building he puts out. There's really no need to bell up your... Well, I want to say that there's no need to bell up your vills when a scout comes through your town, because obviously a scout's not going to do any harm to your vills. Although I do see that it looks like you were trying to damage one of those Japanese scouts, which, in all honesty, is a good move. Especially since they are the ones that primarily build the shrines, so taking one of them out early would definitely hurt the Japan player's economic potential. So I take back what I said. That was actually not a bad idea to attack that scout. Looks like you're going for the 120 XP here. Not a bad treasure to get at all. You could do a little bit of kiting on this grizzly bear and just take less damage, but it's not essential, but obviously you want to take as minimal damage to your explorer as possible. But other than that, that's a very small nitpick. And you're going to get this. I like how as the treasure guardian got low on health, you got right up to the treasure. That's something that I don't see. I'm going to pause in a minute. That's something that you see a lot of players don't do, mainly because they just shoot the guardian and then they walk up to the treasure. But walking up to get right next to that treasure before the guardian dies is super important, because if your enemy's sitting right there, it's going to mean that you're going to be able to see that and contest that treasure rather than just taking out the guardian and losing 120 XP for free. Looks like the Japanese player picked up 75 food. I don't love the placement of his wonder, but it's not bad. But it's not. I'd like to see it more like right here. That might be a little too far out, though. Maybe even back here. But that's no big deal. Looks like you're putting up a trading post in transition, which is exactly what you want to be doing. Getting your third hunt in. You did let this little this second hunt sneak out a little bit, which is unfortunate, but it's still in a pretty safe spot. But you are going to want to get that back to your town center relatively soon. But your first stage has been pretty good. I mean, you had a little bit of Idleville time, but your hunting has been good. You've collected some good treasures. You got the market upgrade. You got your trading post in transition. So all in all, a very good first stage. And a decent first stage from the Japanese player as well. Sending 3 settler wagon and getting your steel traps, very, very standard. Standard French. My guess is you're going to be looking to go something in the fortress age. I mean, obviously, Germany has an insane fortress age. And, yep, you do have... your deck looks good. You got the 9 Ulan, the 8 Ulan, the 8 Skirm, 7 Skirm. So, your deck looks very good. Nothing wrong with that. And right now, looks like you're just putting down your couple of houses. Those aren't bad at all. Very standard. 3 settler wagons are arriving.
Auftrag.
As well as your Ulans. Let's see what you do with these 2 Ulans, because one of the most important things for the German player is when he gets out these early Ulans from these shipments, it's important that he doesn't waste them. Because those 6 or 7 Ulans that you get from those shipments are going to make a huge difference to your Ulan mass in the third age. But if you lose them right away due to town center fire or Minutemen, it could be it could really negate your fortress age potential. Although you did get this Japanese scout, which is very good. Going to be able to siege down this partially built shrine. So you're doing what you need to do with your Ulan right now. So far, you're doing a very good job. The Japanese player looks like he's putting down 2 barracks. So it looks like he's going for something a little bit more colonial. Probably going to be making out some Ashy. Which is good. I mean, it's certainly a good response to Ulan. Continuing to siege shrines. That's fine. I'd like to see you raid a little bit, although he has his vills pretty well situated so they can get close to the town center. But I'd like to see you run in with those Ulan rather than siege this shrine. Unfortunately, 2 Ulan are going to be doing much damage, and I would rather see you bell up his vills. But it looks like you're going to catch this other Japanese explorer, so you're being very active. I like this. I like that you're catching these explorers. You know that he's going to be shrining. Unfortunately, he did get away, but you did get some good damage on him. Again, I would rather see you be running around in the base rather than sieging shrines. But again, that's no big deal. The Japanese player hasn't made any units yet, but he's made 3 military buildings. And it looks like you're already going up to the 3rd age, so you've done everything you've needed to do. It's not like you've made any big mistakes in your build order. You did a good job gathering in your hunts, although I would suggest that you maybe start gathering this 4th hunt, because you're going to go through these deer pretty quickly, although most German units are pretty coin dependent. Okay, these 10 Ashi are going to be moving down the map. These 2 Ulan are still sieging down this shrine. And you can see they've been sieging this shrine for like 2 minutes, and you're still not going to really be able to... They really still haven't done any damage, so they would have been much more useful running into this town and belling up these vills rather than sieging that shrine. But I won't harp on that any longer. Continuing to siege shrines. Looks like you're sending 1,000 wood for your first shipment in the 3rd age, which is certainly a very economic build. Putting down a barracks. I don't love the placement of that barracks simply because it's out of range of your town center. I'd rather have it kind of back here by your market. But that's no big deal. Alright, 1,000 wood's going to be coming in. What is the Japanese player doing? He's kind of just walking around with these Ashi. I mean, he's kind of harassing these Ulan, but they're not doing a whole lot. But he is protecting his shrines, which, you know, is the best thing he could be doing right now. What's his shrine pop? He's at about 160 shrine pops, so he's certainly not doing terrible. Doing pretty good. Okay, he's going to start marching. Okay, so he does have some of these Ashi in your base at the moment, which is unfortunate for you, certainly. But you do have 8 skirm on the way with your Minutemen. I don't know if the Minutemen pop was necessary, but I mean, you are going to be able to do some decent damage here. You got some skirms popping out, so you're going to be able to deal with this. I mean, there's no issues here. Although running in your Ulan was probably not the best idea. I would have rather just seen you try to take him out with the Minutemen. You lost a few Ulan trying to hold that. But at the same time, you are going to be able to hold this barracks. So I guess in the end, it wasn't bad. Although you did lose like 4 of these 5 skirms, simply because they were kind of out of position when they popped out of the barracks. The Naginata were just able to get right on top of them. But at the end of the day, you did hold off this push, and you are certainly looking in a very good position. I do want to point out that you've done a very nice job securing the trade route. So the Japanese player is certainly on the back foot at this point. And for the Japanese player, I think he kind of stuck in there too long. I mean, I know the temptation to take out that barracks is pretty large. But you definitely don't want to be sticking around there, especially with Germany, since they have such disgusting Fortress Age shipments that you really don't want to be sticking around long in the German player's base, unless you are very, very confident in your mass, or unless you know that the German player has spent most of his very good cards. You did get the stagecoach, excuse me, and you're getting the 9 Black Riders. That's certainly not a bad card. If you have the coin, you might as well use it, although I would argue that maybe sending 9 Ulans and spending the coin on more skirm and more Ulan would be better. He certainly doesn't have anything to counter 9 Black Riders at the moment, and once those 9 Black Riders do pop out, I think you're going to be able to push in his base without much trouble. I mean, he has some Yumi, he has some Ashigaro, and he has some Yamabushi. I hope I'm not butchering these names. If I am, post it in the comments. Tell me how uncultured I am. Although he does have quite a few Naginata here. He's being pretty inactive with them. Cavalry in general just aren't good siege units. So I'd much rather see them raiding than sieging. Ashigaros, on the other hand, along with these clubs, are very good siege units. Looks like you're just content to siege his shrines at the moment. And you're going to send these 9 Black Riders, which are going to, I mean, they're just going to go through these units so easily. He does not have enough Yumi here to counter this. Ooh, looks like he shot the Treasure Guardian on accident. But it's cavalry, so you're not going to take any damage from that, but kind of funny. Okay, you're sending the 9 Ulan now, which is a really good card. Certainly one of the best cards that Germany has. The Japan player right now, looks like he finally sent these Naginata into raid, but you did send in the Black Riders, which is very, very good, and you're continuing to siege shrines. So you're doing everything you need to do. And honestly, you have all your trading posts on wood at the moment, and these Naginata, I don't know why they stopped to siege the trade post. And now he's just kind of going to let them get slaughtered, which is certainly not very good. Although he's bringing his army up here, but even this army, I mean, you're just so maneuverable right now with these mercenaries that he can't really threaten your army at all. And at this point, I'd like to see you just push into his base. I mean, you have a much better army, and now that he's in the fortress age, I think you need to push. I really think you need to push right now because Japan has some good shipments as well, and if you're able to go into his base and do some significant damage before he really starts massing up his army and getting his veteran upgrades, you'll be in a much, much better spot. And it looks like that's what you're going to do. So, very nice, very nice. In comes his army. Make sure you don't get caught out of position with these cav. You have the skirms here, and you're gonna clean up this army. I mean, honestly, with these mercenaries, I don't see you losing this fight at all. I don't love that you're kind of throwing your... Well, I mean, you are snaring these muskets. Okay, the skirms need to start firing. Skirms. Okay, that's a little bit of a micro mistake. You certainly don't want your skirms rushing into melee. But that could have just been a micro thing or a lag. I don't know. Okay, yep, and you're just gonna... Not only do you have more stuff, but your stuff's just so much better. He hasn't really had the time to get out a lot of shipments yet, and honestly, I think you've been playing this very well. I mean, I'm trying to find things to critique at the moment, but you've just played very standard, very effective Germany. And I think this game is perfect evidence of why Germany is just so good. The fortress age is so strong. Although take out these flaming arrows. They're doing a lot of damage with these turrets. Bring in your Ulans. Okay, you want to be careful. But even with these reinforcing units, you're going to be able to clean this up. Okay, you need to take out this flaming arrow. Looks like you're finally doing that. And yeah, once you clean this up, I doubt he's going to have much left. You're even killing some bills. Do you have any reinforcing units? Okay, so you have some more Ulan and some more skirms in the way, which is basically what you need to be doing right now. Just keep pumping out Ulan, keep pumping out skirms, and I don't think you'll have any problems. Yeah. I mean, you don't have a lot of anti-cav at the moment. You do have a couple of these Black Riders left, but a lot of them are on low HP. Okay, bringing in your Ulan now. That's very good. Shipping 7 skirm. I'd rather see 8 Ulan at the moment. Did you already send 8 Ulan? Let me pause it for a moment. Did you send 8 Ulan? Okay, so you already did send 8 Ulan. Okay, my mistake. So 7 skirm here is the card to go with. And at this point, I mean, I don't know how you lose this game. You won't lose this game. I mean, you're Fortress Age Germany with Stagecoach TP, and he is Japan in Fortress Age with a decimated economy and one. I mean, he's got 170 shrine pop, but even with that, yeah, your army's just way too much. Although, get your skirms on these musketeers. Okay, well, you're getting kind of snared here. I will say that fighting under your opponent's town center is not the best thing to be doing at the moment. It certainly means that you are very vulnerable to what just happened, losing a bunch of skirms because the Ashies popped out. More Ulan coming in though. Although you probably don't want to fight straight up Ulan versus Ashi without skirmisher support. But you got more on the way, and you're making more skirm now. So even though you lost those skirms, I still don't see how you lose this fight. I mean, your build order has just been it's just been very solid. And you've had some micro issues, but your macro, your overall game plan has been I don't want to say flawless, but it's been very, very tight and very, very good. So, not to praise you too much, but your build order has been very solid. Just kind of some micro, like running your skirms into close, or like we said at the beginning with the villager idle time. Just little stuff like that, but that stuff happens to everyone. Looks like you're just kind of sitting here taking out some shrines, which is certainly, I mean, it's not a bad thing. Just kind of convince your opponent to come out. It looks to me as if you're kind of scared to take another fight under the TC, which I can understand. Looks like you're just going to siege this wonder. Why not? I mean, you have the army, and right at this point, you basically just have to make your opponent come out and fight you. But now with these 2 flaming arrows, it looks like you're going to engage here. Okay. Make sure your skirmishers get on these Ashy. More skirmishers coming in. Yeah, and you're going to clean up this fight as well. And I think once you win this fight, I think it's GG. I mean, I don't know where the Japanese player goes from here. Unless he trolls you, he really has no chance of winning at this point. He sent his big shipments. His eco is basically trashed. Okay. Yeah, there's not a whole lot more we can see from this. You've basically won. And there it is. Okay, so I'll give you a lot of things I liked, because I saw more that I liked in this game than I didn't like. And overall, I think you have a very good grasp of Germany and how to play them. And then I'll just mention a couple of things, like I said before, that you could perhaps improve on. Number 1, I loved your build order. I thought it was very solid. I thought it was very clean. Other than a little bit of villager idle time in the beginning, thought it was magnificent. Taking the trading post, getting the stagecoach, all good stuff. Your herding was good. All of that was good. So I mean, there could have been there might have been a couple of things that could be faster that some higher level players could probably point out, but in my eyes, you played that build order very, very well. And your strategy was very good. You know, you took map control. You looked for his explorers. You tried to limit his shrine booming. You had a good composition, good use of mercenaries. I don't want to make your head too big here, but overall, just a really, really good game. I really liked the way you played. However, I will point out a couple of things that I would like to see. Number 1, I think you need to control your skirmishers better. You did a really good job controlling your cav, getting them on the flaming arrows and on the Yumi and stuff like that. However, your skirmishers didn't necessarily kite as well as they could have. For example, you know, running in too close to the enemy or getting caught out by those Ashigaros. I think that could be improved upon, so maybe work on kiting with your infantry. It seems like you have a good grasp of how to micro your cav, but maybe practicing how to micro with those skirmishers would be very advantageous for you. And then the other thing was just when you took this fight here and you kind of got caught under the town center and your skirms just kind of got wiped out. My advice for that would be, I mean, I know what you were trying to do. You know, you want to go for the throat right away, but taking a fight next to 2 barracks, a stable, and a town center is never something that you really want to do unless you have, you know, maybe a lot of siege potential, which you really didn't. You didn't have any pikemen or cannons or anything like that. So unless you have a lot of siege potential where you can take out these big beefy buildings, I would advise not taking fights under the opponent's town center, simply because if a big pop of units comes out, you're pretty much screwed. But other than that, other than those couple of things, I thought this was a really well played game by both players. I think the Japanese player, you know, did well. He had a good shrine pop the entirety of the game. I think his big mistake was losing this big batch of Ashy here at the beginning of the game. And other than that, he kind of did what he needed to do. It's just Germany's Fortress Age is so sick that once they get rolling, there's not a whole lot you can do as Japan. But that's going to be it for Week 6 for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy this little more personal style of casting of this replay analytics series. But other than that, that is going to be it for me for this week. And as I said at the beginning, stay tuned for next week because we will. I say we, but I will do my best to try to bring you those 2 games I promised you last week, the Kaiser Klein versus Diaraga series, and I'm going to try to get those up. So keep your fingers crossed. But until then, I will see you guys later.